pressure? Can you handle the pressure? And we're dealing with a generation right now that we have not put the proper pressure on you all. Pressure turn, create ore to diamonds. We clean ore with fire. Now I used to do this thing about pressure. My PhD is in fluid mechanics, and I study the flow of fluids. I used to ask my students all the time. I said, if you take a pipe, and we want to have fluid flowing through the pipe, what must we do? The students used to tell me all the time. They say you got to have a pressure gradient. I said, what's your pressure gradient? They said, well, Dr. Mackie, that's the change in pressure over distance. That means the pressure on one end of the pipe got to be higher than the pressure on the other end of the pipe so the water can flow in a direction down the gradient. I said, you might get an A. I said, now, what happened when we increase the pressure? They said the water goes faster. I said, what happened if we keep increasing the pressure? They said, Dr. Mackie, the pipe will burst. I said, no, but before the pipe bursts, microscopic cracks will develop in that pipe. And they said, that's right. I said, so therefore, in life, when life begins to put pressure on you, before you burst, before you fail, before you collapse, we will begin to see cracks in your character. We'll begin to see little microscopic things that we shouldn't be seeing in you. We begin to look in your eyes and we don't see hope anymore. We look at your transcript and see that you was a great student, but now you're not achieving like you're supposed to be achieving before. That's a microscopic crack. And that's why we're here today, because we need you all to believe again in yourself. You need the will. And the will mean, it's not that the will doesn't mean I'm going to do the will doesn't mean that I'm just going to do what it needs to get by. The will mean I'm going to do what is necessary. That means that if I got to stay up all night, that's what I'm going to do. That means that if I have to stay up 3 days, that's what I'm going to do. That means that if I have to go find that person in a class that I don't like to help me with that problem, that's what I'm going to do. Because George Bernard Shaw said, forget about likes and dislikes. He said, forget about likes and dislikes. He said, do that what needs to be done. He said, that may not be happiness, but that's where greatness lies. And there was many people I had to go to, humble myself, break down, and say, can you help me? And many of us came out of situations where we were the one that everybody was coming to. And now we don't even know how to go to somebody for help. But if you want to be a global engineer, you're going to have to work in organizations and groups, and they're going to be things that you just don't know. I don't care how brilliant you are. And right now in the classes that you're in, all of us are gifted with different things. This young lady may be gifted in differential equations by parts. You may be gifted in differential equations by the substitution method. She may be struggling with differentiation by parts by the substitution method. But when you all get together, both of y'all are stronger. You all are not competing against each other. You all are competing against a Hurricane 5, Category 5 hurricane off the coast of America called India and China. And we need every last one of you all to finish. And we need every last one of you all to finish. And not finish, just finish. We need you all to achieve. We need every last one of you all. Right now in America, it's all hands on deck. And it's cultural competency. This is a beautiful room. Y'all need to get to know each other. Black, white, Asian, Hispanic, whatever. I mean, I had 4 Chinese graduate students, and they, one Chinese student thought I liked green tea, so he brought me some green tea. And then he told the rest of the Chinese students that I like green tea. I've drunk so much green tea, my whole system just clean. And every week I allow my Chinese student, to have at our meeting, you bring the food. The next week I let my Nigerian student bring the food. The next week I allow my Indian student to bring the food. I didn't have any American graduate students. I wonder why. So I used to take them to a soul food restaurant and teach them about my culture. But the bottom line is that the world is diverse. And it's funny now, this little boy from the inner city of New Orleans, from Gertown, back of town, Zion City. I'm from the lower 9 where we don't mind dying. Now I'm sitting down with kings and queens. In the last few years, I've sat down with President Obama, President Bush, his daddy. I've sat down with President, from Jimmy Carter to President Clinton. I've sat down with the Deputy Prime Minister of Kuwait. I've sat down with Prince Farad of Faisal Mohammed of Saudi Arabia. I've sat down with Prince Alexander in the Netherlands. I've been appointed by 2 different governors in the state of Louisiana, one a white female liberal, another one an Indian red state conservative. And the point is, you never know where you're going to find yourself. You never know the person you're going to be dealing with. Now, I'm on a commission right now. We're trying to get something to the president. And, it's all these high-fluting people with these high positions. And we were trying to decide, how should we get this document into the White House? So one of the men on there said, look, we need an angle. We got to get this into somebody in the inner circle of the president. Now, I never showed my hand and told them I had access because these people are very important. So I don't want to just break their spirits. Because they ain't listening to me anyway, you know what I mean? I ain't got no money. I ain't got no company. So they're very important. And they talking about how can we get this to the president. So I just asked one simple question. I said, in the past, how did you get it to the president? They said, well, we always knew somebody who can get it to the president. I said, oh. I said, so maybe y'all need to get y'all some black friends. No, think about that. For the first time in their life now, they're outside the loop. For the first time in their life, with all their money, with all their influence, with all their power, they don't have access to the highest level of power in the United States because they have not diversified their social circle. And that's the challenge for you, to rise above that. So there's two things we got to do here. We got to diversify our social circle such that we can operate in the world, and we have to get the functional competencies and achieve such that we can achieve in a diverse world. One without the other, you're going to be obsolete. You got to get up and make this thing happen. Stuff just going to happen to you. If you just think, stuff going to happen to you. I used to be a professor. I was a professor at Tulane University for 12 years, the first and only African-American ever tenured in the history of the college at Tulane University. Stuff just going to happen. And one day, Hurricane Katrina hit. In the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina, the president of Tulane University made an unbelievable decision. I mean, he made a great leadership position. They're giving him leadership awards to this day for this decision. In the aftermath of the greatest engineering disaster in the history of the country and the second greatest engineering disaster in the history of the world, Hurricane Katrina, he decided to keep the football team and eliminate the engineering program. Yeah, Google it. So we showed up as engineering faculties and we didn't have a job. Six-figure job, $100,000. After the Hurricane Katrina, my family had lost 29 houses. My daddy had moved in with me. He was on hospice. My old uncle moved in with me. My older brother moved in with me. My little nephew moved in with me. My little niece moved in with me. Got a beautiful wife and 2 kids, and I have lost my job. Now, if that's not a punch in the gut, I don't know what is. And I drive home, and I pull up to my big, pretty house, and there's a guy up in my palm tree cutting the trees. He goes, Dr. Mackie. I'm like, all right, bro. I open the door. My 2 beautiful sons, they run to me and grab my leg. Daddy, we love you. And the train just going around. Nobody playing with it. They just got the train running around. I go in the kitchen, and my beautiful wife, she know I love red beans. She cooking red beans, and she got all the burners on. She got the vent on. They got the air conditioner on. They got the window open. I just see money going out the window. And I hug her. Say, I love you. I look in the corner. My little nephew that moved in with me, he got his iPod plugged up, the computer plugged up. He got his radio plugged up. He got something else charging. He got earphones on. He got the jukebox on. I'm like, Lord. My old uncle who had moved in with me, he watching CNN all day. He got the big 62-inch television sitting there like this. My brother had moved in with me. He upstairs laying in the bed. They got the air conditioner on upstairs. The air conditioner on upstairs and downstairs. Won't he come downstairs? We don't need the air conditioner on upstairs too. He laying in the bed. He got the radio playing. He got the TV on. He on the telephone. I'm like, Lord. My daddy, who had been diagnosed with stage 2 lung cancer the week before Hurricane Katrina, he had moved in with me. He's supposed to start his cancer treatment the day of Hurricane Katrina. But we evacuated. It took us 6 weeks to get him back in the system. By the time we got him back in the system, they had to re-diagnose him because the water destroyed all the records. It took us 2 weeks to re-diagnose him. By the time we re-diagnosed him, the cancer had spread to all over his body. And I thank God I had done something with my life such that my daddy needed me. I was able to bring him into my house. So my dad's sitting there on hospice. He got his oxygen mask on, waving, machine plugged in. And I'm standing in the middle of the floor saying, and I done lost my job. And all these people are dependent upon me. That's an 8 count. That's a gut check. Do I quit? Do I check out? Do I just say this is too hard? Do I say, I ain't asked for this? Do I just get down on myself? Why this happened to me? Or do I look around and see all these people dependent on me and do that which is necessary? That's what you're preparing for. That's what engineering is about. You don't look at a problem and run away from it. You look at a problem and say, how can we solve this? Scientists tell you what is, but engineers create that which never was before. There's a poem that says doctors can hide their mistakes. Doctors can bury their mistakes. President Hoover, he said, engineers are special people. He said, engineers, are damned if they make a mistake. He said, engineers are damned because a doctor can bury his mistakes. He said, a politician can blame his mistake on his opponent across the aisle. He said, an architect can hide his mistakes with shrubberies and bushes and pretty plants. He said, a lawyer can try to argue his mistakes away. He said, but an engineer is damned because his mistake is there for the world to see. So therefore, we got to make sure that when you walk out here with that engineering degree, that you are certified as an engineer. And when you walk out here with that engineering degree, when you put that up on your wall, when everybody see that engineering degree from Michigan, they're going to understand what that means. So I hope you don't think this thing going to get any easier. If you don't think you can give any more, I'm sorry, because for the next 2-3 years, we're going to ask you for some more. And that's why engineers get paid. I'm working with MTV right now because I want to start a show called The Crib Next Door. How many people saw the show Cribs before? They never tell you who lived next door. So I want a reality show called The Crib Next Door. Because they need to tell you who lived next door. Because it's not another athlete. Because if it was another athlete, they'll show that crib too. And say Shaq lived next door to Kobe. I don't think that's going to happen. Paris Hilton lived next door to Lil Wayne. Imagine that party. Who lives next door? That's why engineers get paid. If you make $80,000 in America, that puts you in the top 10% of all income earners in America. If you make 6 figures, that's the goal. If you make $80,000, that puts you in the top 20% of all income earners in America. If you make $100,000, that puts you in the top 5% of all income earners in America. If you make $200,000, that puts you in the top 2.5% of all income earners in America. Now, if you're an engineer from Michigan, I want to let you in on a little secret. If you're looking at the statistics, if you're an engineer from Michigan, when you get hired, more than likely, you're going to be in probably the $50,000, $60,000 range. 2, 3, 4 years, you're going to be in the $80,000 range, and you're going to be in the top 20% of all income earners in America. If you work your salt, don't curch out your boss, just show up and still be breathing in about 10 years, by the time you're 30, you're going to be making $100,000. And I don't know, but like me, I like women. I love women. I wish they came in 6-packs. But I found one I really like, and I got married. And if you fall in love with another one who's an engineer, and the amount of time y'all spend together, the amount of time you study, that's a good chance y'all might fall in love and get married at 30 years old. Your household income is what? $200,000. And where you living? Next door. Because that's who live next door to the entertainers. 8 out of the top richest people in the world are science, technology, engineering, and mathematics people. People like you now are creating a future. And the funny thing about it, you all sit around all day and play with your Evos and your Xbox 360s and your iPhone and your iPhone, and you got an app for this, and I got an app for that, and I got an iPod and an iPad, and I sick, and I want to go home. But you don't think that you can create the next technology to transform not only this country, but the world.